Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at Tesla, CMG, Ntes, Twilio, Nvda, and Starbucks. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the daily time frame of Tesla and a little bit of roller coaster today. Let's get into the 10-minute first. And some news came out. We were in the live session watching this thing, and we were looking at gap fill, and then possibly this little pivot. That was the end of the road, popped right up, and then bearish or a bullish pattern, and boom, lights out to the tie of the day, or almost a 200 even number. And we'll see what happens on this one. Something with the Model 3, some news. That's why I don't like this stock. I mean, anytime you're in this trade, you're going short. I mean, if you're short here and all of a sudden the flush, but then, you're expecting it to go lower, next thing you know, it pops up, some buy the dippers come in, or the news isn't good, or whatever it is, and right back up and right on its way. So, and then, you have a call position, you freak out, you dump it, stuff like that. But just be careful with names like this, because any day Elon can tweet, something can happen, they get an upgrade, blah, blah, blah. But again, we did short from here. I got about $2 and the thing kept falling. We do have a bearish consolidation underneath the moving averages, but they're trying to get this thing up on anything. Whatever that news was, I'm not sure, but it saved the day. They brought it back above this trend line, which actually I thought it was going to start breaking down. We closed here, but they popped it right back up. So keep an eye on this pattern. If it starts breaking these lows at 193.50 or gets below this low at the 192.03, I think this one can continue on down to the 188.28. Technically, it's in a weak stance under the MAs. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly chart, same thing, inside bar on an inside bar below the MAs, but it is holding the 200. The 200 is curling up into price, so that can help the matter of this thing moving up. Earnings are coming up, so anything can happen. If Tesla comes up into this area, 260 or so on earnings, we will definitely be shorting this one. If it goes down, then we're going to have to wait to see what the markets are doing, because I believe the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, it's almost time for those things to get roasted, in my opinion. Let's go into CMG. Kind of roasted like this one. Old Billy Boy's stuck in this. They're roasting him some more. But for all we know, he was in down here. They popped it. He might have sold it right here, dribbled it out. He could have bought it back here, went back up, dribbled it out. Who knows? But that's exactly what we did. Every time it went up into that this trend line up into here, boom, we're short. We're writing calls, one or the other. And then boom, again, we shorted this one. We got about $10, $11. And of course, it continued down. It is trying to hold on to this low pivot. Today we did close below, so it could possibly go back down to 387. Keep an eye on this, or does it run up into options X and screw some people that wrote calls up in here? Basically, if you wrote a call up here, wrote a call here, wrote a call here, you sell, sell, sell. Take the money. Jeez, what are you waiting for? I mean, it's unbelievable if you're holding on to this thing. So Chipotle at this point looking bad. Earnings are coming up, so anything can happen. Again, you're in a weekly bearish chart. You're channeling up and down, so theoretically you're below, or you are below the moving averages. So this one is setting up to go lower, but on earnings, you know how that works. Anything's possible. I'm still thinking 350, 355 in this area. You could maybe 300 maybe if this pattern plays out. You're getting some lower prices here, especially if it has bad earnings. You probably get a $50 washout right to 350 of these low pivots. And then maybe we'll have to see how the SPY reacts to take a long trade on this one. If the SPY's breaking down, then you don't want anything long, in my opinion. Ntes, another high flyer with Netflix. This one just won't stop. But one thing that's catching my eye, every time it's going, I want to clear this chart out here. Remove all drawing tools. Ultimately, you want to get a close above this all-time high for this thing to continue up. Until then, I still think it's just chopping around, and we'll get to the monthly chart on this one. But until it closes above this area as well on a weekly basis. This is a daily. I still think this is weak. Every time it pops up, it comes right back in, pops up, right back in, pops up, right back in. This one stayed a little bit stronger because everyone's getting all crazy on Netflix. But let's get to the weekly chart. Weekly chart, there's that line. I wanted to close above this on a weekly close. Let's see what happens on Friday. And still, it needs to get above the all-time high and continue up on volume. Right now, there is no volume in this, so they're just shaking and baking people up and down. Monthly chart's a real story here. Stretch chart. Look at this. Stretch in, stretch in. What do you think this is going to do? It's going to come down eventually. If this pops up on earnings, short it. Period. If you're already short, make sure you can add more at higher prices so this thing comes in. I still think we could come down to the 185 area. Excuse me, area. It's going to take a little bit of a time. So if you want to buy a put on a pop up on earnings, buy a put. You could buy it, you know, down in here, 250, 255. Buy it in the money down in here, you know, or you could buy it at price, whatever. But I think eventually in the next couple months it will be down here at around 186 area or so. So maybe go out to January, maybe even February maybe, but we'll see what happens on this one. I'm not going to throw out stuff and somebody does it and they get in trouble. So let's see what happens on earnings if it pops, and then we'll determine. You know, for me, I'd probably just do shares because the premium will get sucked out, or write some calls if it pops. So Nettie's stretched. That's why we're playing this one. Let's see here. Twilio. So Twilio got a pretty good bounce today. It was up $3.32. You knew eventually it was. I mean, from that schlacken from the highs, you know, we played it off the topping tail. It closed, never confirmed, and boom, 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 we were down. We were talking about the 52.74 area. Then this pivot here at 49.68. Then ultimately, I would have loved to get it to the 42.72. Never did. Stalled out. You know, let me look at the weekly. Why did this thing stall out? Is there an MA down in here? No, there's no MA. Yeah, I don't know why it's stalled. Oh, this pivot right here. That's why. Okay. So you have this pivot right here, and that's some of the reasons why it stalled out, but we got a bounce. We're bouncing right back up into the 382. Let's see what pattern this thing develops on the daily first. Let's see if we just chop around sideways. If Twilio bounces up on earnings, comes up into the, fills this gap, or maybe back into this high pivot right here around 66.25, I will be shorting again. So let's figure out where this thing's going to go. Right now, if this 20 MA curls down in the price before earnings, I think this can still go down a little bit lower. We have a gap fill around 38.62 as well. But right now, we're getting a dead cat bounce. Don't believe this one. Don't chase it. Let it come up, reshort it up here, or just let it go, maybe double top, whatever. But we'll see how this thing reacts on earnings. I'm not sure when it is, but I think it's next couple weeks, I believe. And weekly chart again, boom, nice little topping tail, came right in, nice follow through. And this is why. You have a big red bar like this is telling me lower prices to come. If it bounces up on earnings, around 61, 62, I'll be shorting again, or I'll be starting to add. If it goes up, add. If it goes to double top, add some more. Just beware. If you're long this one, if you get a nice retrace up here, take some money off, tighten up the stop, do something, because you can wake up to the nice gap down on this one, and we're right back to square one. I mean, ultimately, you might end up going right back to the IPO price. Who knows? But it's Twilio. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter what stock it is. If the markets are dumping, everything's going down. Let's look at Nvda, another high flyer. This one's another one. But you know, we are chopping around. We did get up on the weekly. Let's look at the daily really quick. Daily, we did move up. We had a couple tails. It did pull back. Little bearish pattern following the 20 MA. Probably waiting on earnings now. If earnings pops up on this one, short it. If you're already short here, make sure you have enough to add up on here. And if it goes down, you're already short, and good, you know, good for everybody. We're going to get the targets on the weekly or on the monthly chart. This one inside bar, so this could pop a little higher. If it does close below this pivot or 63.68, we are probably going to head down to the 58.12 area. If that area gives and this pivot gives, then we're definitely going to fill this gap and then go to the next area of support, which is right around the 50 MA or 43.50. But if you look at the monthly stretch chart, and we talk about these stretch charts in our live sessions, we've been doing live sessions at noon Eastern time through the lunchtime hour, a little bit lighter volume, a little bit of a float, but that's when we could get through some charts, get through some, you know, everyone brings a symbol, throw one out at me, we'll look at it, try to figure out which way it's going, and hopefully I'm saving some of you guys out there some money and making a good trade. So this one here, stretch. We talk about these charts in our videos all the time. 36.28. This thing's at almost 68 bucks or 70 bucks. It is slightly pulling back, but setting up to possibly move up. Like I said, if this thing moves up on earnings, we will be adding more shorts to this one, definitely. If you're not in a short position, definitely add some. Don't go all out, but make sure you get a decent sized position, because eventually this one will be falling. Areas of it to come in, you're probably looking at the 57, you're looking at that pivot, ultimately around the $50 even number. And then ultimately, you know, it might take, this thing's going to keep curling up, but I'm thinking, let's draw a quick fib in here. just to see what we're looking at on this. You know, 52.50, 47.21, 41.91, then ultimately 35.99. This will curl up, so I'm thinking maybe around 41 bucks or so, but we'll see how it goes on earnings, and then we'll take it from there. It better have good earnings, or this thing's going to go straight down, guys, in my opinion. And Sbux, this one was trending on StockTwitch, so I thought I'd do a quick video on it. We were short this one a while back. We did cover it. Everyone was, oh, you're short Starbucks, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And there it goes, you know, comes here. That's your 1,000-point dip day. Look at that thing, dipped to 41 bucks. Jeez, that's why I sell. Everything's a market trade. That's why I say it all the time. If the market's dumped massively, I don't care what stock it is going to get it's going to tank. But then we get the bounce, boom, right back up. I mean, look at that bounce. They came in here. The Federal Reserve did an overall buy program on everything, and they pushed it up all the way until October. Then it slowly drained in. Come December, right in here, we got schlacked, came right up, and then slowly been just kind of retracing. Goes down, retraces short, and now technically we're below all the moving averages. I don't know when the earnings are. They're probably coming up maybe tomorrow. We're below the moving averages. We did close below this pivot low here. So at this point, we're looking pretty damn weak. I think the low of the day, 52.63. Yeah, that was almost a 52-week low, so that's telling me there's another little pivot here. So let's go to the weekly. Let's see what we got going on. Yeah, there you go. There's a pivot here. That's what we're holding on to, guys. And there's a little pivot here. So if you're bullish here, you need to hold this pivot. If you're bearish, it needs to break, and you're probably going down to this area here, 44.74, and maybe even 41 down in this area, 41.22 or 42.04. That was the flash crash back in August. So technically, on the weekly chart, this thing's not looking so good. I mean, we're below the MAs down in here. We're holding this pivot. So if earnings coming up, if this thing pops up into this area, maybe the 61 area, short it. If you're already short, just ride it down to the 200 MA and possibly even lower than that. But right now, this thing's technically weak. Just trying to see what else is here. Let's look at the monthly real quick. Monthly, yeah, same thing. Look at that stretch chart. Well, this one came in and touched it, but it's getting stretched again. We had the inside bar closed below it. Yeah, this thing's starting to break down. I'm thinking, yeah, 41, 42, right in this area. If it really starts to rumble, if it has bad earnings, this is where you're going. Actually, right about I'd say 40 bucks, 41 bucks, possibly. So be careful with Starbucks. If you're long, tighten that stop up. If you do get a pop up on the earnings, definitely take some off, or tighten that stop just in case the market breaks down, because this one will definitely be back here in a $42 stock eventually one day. And again, we are bulls or bears. I don't really care. I just want to be on the right side of the trade using technicals and following the charts. That's it, guys. Earnings, well, you got to watch out for that period. But other than that, news like Tesla, you get the CEO tweeting and stuff like that. Gosh, it's almost ridiculous. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my videos. If you have any questions or comments, send it to me at stockbookie@gmail.com. And let me know if you have a symbol to look at, or let me know what your thoughts are on a chart, or if you're in a trade, you're upside down or looking to take some profits. I can help you out with that. I can make a video. Come to our live session. Join us. Hopefully I'm doing them at 12 o'clock Eastern time, depending if I have an open slot during the day, because I'm pretty busy most of the days. But most of the trades I'm trading in the morning, checking out the charts, looking to see what we can make money on. But again, thanks for watching my videos. God bless. See you on the charts.